will see that behind every sight there's a flame shining bright, tiny spark created by God. I will follow your path, Father, 'cause nobody is alone in life, and the scars of my destiny will be healed by your love. Disseminate wherever you are, glowing seeds of love, as our Master Jesus taught, as our Master Jesus taught.
Another day, another flower, another minute past the hour. Someday the sky is blue, and suddenly we can't see through. And every day is a fresh new start, when the sun turns off the moonlight. We get another chance to choose the road we want to cruise, and on the other side of the mountain there's always a whole new road, the new beginning calling after every end. There are a million reasons to pick you up after every fall. It's always a win in the new round. On the other side of the mountain there's always a whole new road, and the new beginning calling after every end. And there are a million reasons to pick you up after every fall. It's always a win in the new round. It's always a win in the new round. It's always a win in the new round. It's always a win in the new round.
When I go in to pray, I look for my Jesus, and when I close my eyes, I can feel all His light. I open my heart for all He has to say. He shows me the best way I can enjoy my life. Jesus, Jesus, they never we apart. Please bring all your light to shine inside my heart. Jesus, Jesus, I can be content. I have your endless love and your protecting hand.
Sometimes it's not so easy. Sometimes it's not so close. Sometimes we build our dreams, but then we see them decompose. When you feel down the dumps, feeling sad and blue, give life a chance, my friend. The sun will shine again on you. Believe you can come through. The rainy days are true. Have little faith in you. Maybe tomorrow you can dream all your dreams again. Though some sorrow remains, it doesn't mean the end. Believe you can come through. The rainy days are true. Sometimes okay to feel blue. Have little faith in you. Dream all the dreams again. Though some sorrow remains, your dreams can get you through. Have little faith in you.
When I go in to pray, I look for my good Jesus. And when I close my eyes, I can feel all His light. I open my heart for all He has to say. He shows me the best way I can enjoy my life. Jesus, Jesus, they never we apart. Please bring all your light to shine inside my heart. Jesus, Jesus, I can be content. I have your endless love and your protecting hand.
recueillez les paroles de lumière du Maître divin. Il me plaît de rêver, de me trouver aussi aux côtés de Jean, Simon, Jacques, André et Lévi, de planter dans nos âmes la sémence de la foi, la sémence que Jésus nous donne et qu'un jour poussera. Et je m'imagine enfant à cet endroit-là, peut-être Jésus m'inviterait à sortir un soir dans les jardins de chez Pierre. J'entendrai sa voix à dire tu sens cette brise, la lune, tu la vois, il faut repartir tout comme elle, puisque telle est la loi. Et pendant ta prière en famille, tous les jours on se reverra. Et je m'imagine enfant à cet endroit-là, peut-être Jésus m'inviterait à sortir un soir dans les jardins de chez Pierre. J'entendrai sa voix à dire tu sens cette brise, la lune, tu la vois, il faut repartir tout comme elle, puisque telle est la loi. Et pendant ta prière en famille, tous les jours on se reverra. Et pendant ta prière en famille, tous les jours on se reverra.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our public meeting. We would like to thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And before we start, we would like to share a couple of announcements. We ask you to turn your phone notifications and find a quiet place during this time, if possible. Our meeting will have a 30-minute presentation followed by a Q&A. And following the presentation, we will also have a spiritual treatment with passes and magnetized water. So we invite you to set aside a container with water to be magnetized. And now we have a special invitation for those who want to learn more about Spiritism. Get to Know Spiritism is a free and online course that happens every Saturday at 5:15 p.m. East. This Saturday, our class will be about the Spiritist view of the plurality of inhabited worlds. Such an interesting topic. So if you want to join us in our study group, please check the registration link that is posted in the chat. We also would like to invite everyone to follow us on the Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube from the Spiritism Canada and Spiritist group Paths of Light. And now we'll get started with the opening prayer, and I invite everyone to join me. So let's close our eyes, calm our hearts, and elevate our thoughts to our Master Jesus and the friendly spirits that are here with us tonight. Master Jesus, we would like to thank you for the opportunity to be here one more night to learn about your teachings of love and kindness. We ask for your blessing and protection for all the work that will be done tonight. And we trust that you will be with us today and always. So be it. We also would like to announce that our public meeting is being retransmitted today by Continental Concafras America through their Facebook, and we will also be retransmitted every Wednesday at 8 p.m. East by Kardec Radio through their Facebook and YouTube. Everyone is welcome to write comments and questions in the chat, and we will be addressing the questions at the end of the talk. The topic of today's meeting is charity toward criminals, under Chapter 11, Loving One's Neighbor as Oneself, and it will be facilitated by our brother Rodrigo Villar from Winnipeg. And now I would like to invite our tonight's speaker. Welcome, Rodrigo.
Hi, Larissa. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great.
How is the weather in Winnipeg? Is it snowing
hot.
already? Oh, really?
It's hot today. I don't know even the temperature, but it's above average.
That's good. I'm really excited to hear you today about this topic because it's very interesting one, eh?
Yeah, it's quite challenging, complex. So yeah, I'll try my best to try to transmit the Spirit's message, and ask for forgiveness if my skill is not enough to transmit all the information. But it's
I'm sure we will learn a lot from you today.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting invitation from Jesus.
Okay, see you in the end.
Thank you, Larissa. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here again. So I'd like to start my talk tonight with a very special. So let's start it. And as Larissa mentioned before, the topic today is charity towards criminals. It's chapter 11, loving one's neighbors as oneself, items 14 and 15. And today reflection will be based on two messages from the Spirit Elizabeth de France, at item 14, and Lamennais. I don't know if I'm pronounced correctly. I apologize. I don't speak French. So this is for my friend Rod Lamennais. So then I hope I make him proud of my French. So, and it's the item 15, and those messages are from 1862. So before we start, we need to break this in two parts. One is about charity, and another one is about criminals. Let's talk about charity first, because we need to understand those two topics very well to understand what Jesus' message is and what the Spirit's messages are. So when you go to the Spirit's book, Allan Kardec asked the Spirits, what is the true meaning of the word charity as Jesus understood it? So you see here how Kardec was quite wise to ask. He's not asking about the definition of the word per se, but how Jesus understood it. And that is the answer. And just see how deep is this answer, despite quite small. Benevolence toward everyone. Is not saying towards my family, is not saying towards people that I like it, is towards everyone. The second is indulgence toward the imperfections of others. Now, if we analyze and we know that we are in a planet of proven expiations, So you come up with the conclusion that nobody in this world is perfect, which translates to we have to be indulgent with everyone because everyone is imperfect, including ourselves. And then the third is forgiveness for offenses. So, and that's the invitation that I want to bring you tonight in terms of reflection. And why criminals? Because when you think about criminals, our mindset is related to earthly laws, right? So then you think, when I say the word criminal, you probably think about robbery, you probably think about homicide, so you killing, right? So you probably think about things that is a very severe. However, we need to realize here is Jesus in the spirits talking about the earthly laws only, or they talk about God's law? And that make us to broaden our perspective relate to this topic. So now we know that charity by Jesus' understanding. Now we know that criminals could be considered two aspects: the earthly law and then the divine law. So Elizabeth de France continue talk about charity, and this is the item 14. And the Spirit says, true charity is one of the most sublime teachings that God has given to the world. Complete fraternity ought to exist among the true disciples of his teachings. So the invitation here is that what is this teachings? The teachings of Jesus and what Jesus brought to us, the God's law, and what this law was about. And when you think about when they asked Jesus the commandments, the most important commandments, and Jesus was clear: love God above all, of all your heart, of all your strength, and love one's neighbors as oneself, which is coincidentally the topic of this chapter 11. So the Spirit continues saying, you must love unfortunates and criminals as God's creatures, to whom forgiveness and mercy will be granted if they repent, as is in the case with you, that means us, for the wrongs that we commit against his law. What the law they're talking about? The law of God. Now, if you think about how many of us follow God's law all the time, and my question becomes, who are the criminals? Because if we think about only the earthly law, now we understand that the law exists for a reason, and is to protect the society. But the earthly laws are not perfect. However, God's law is perfect because God is all just. So if that's the principle, we understand that we all are criminals in some extent. But remember, I'm not talking about earthly law. Maybe we didn't kill anyone, maybe we didn't do anything bad in our judgment, but just think about gossipy. So if you're talking behind other people back, so now you're not charitable anymore. So you're not being kind, and this is not love, which means we are disrespecting God's law. So that's why this chapter and this topic, it broaden our perspective in terms even what charity is and even what criminal really means in this concept. So, and then the Spirit bring an advice to us. And I'm going to read it very carefully because it's a really uh, call for action here. Regard yourselves as more reprehensible and guilt than those to whom you refuse forgiveness and commiseration, because quite often they do not know good as you do. God as you do, unless you be asked of them than of you. Now, that's put us in the spotlight saying, you understand. You understand God's law, you have the knowledge. If you don't forgive, it's not because you don't know, it's because you don't want to. And that put us in a very delicate spot because we are refusing to be kind, even with the worst criminals and acts that you can think of. Is that easy? No. And that's why Jesus was very clear that the door is narrow, the path is narrow, because it challenges us a lot. Just imagine if someone kills someone from a family, how that feels. It's very complicated to forgive, but that's the challenge. So, why should we forgive? And remember, if we are reprehensible and we judge others very heavily, this is going to come against us because we be judged as much as we judge others. Who is going to judge us? So you'll probably say, God. No, no, it's our own conscience. We gonna judge ourselves when we discarnate because then we're gonna have a better view of our lives, our choices, and then we're gonna have to face the consequences. Remember the law of cause and effect. So, what's the device? The spirits continue saying, do not judge, as I told you before. And they say, oh, do not judge. So, and you see that I repeat twice, which means it's very strong. Do not judge. So, do not judge, my dear friends, for the judgment you render will be more severely applied to you. So, be very careful. We should be very careful when we judge other people, even in the worst case scenarios, because you don't understand everything. You don't know all the sides. You don't know all the circumstances. That's why we should not judge. Is that easy? No, it's very difficult, but at least you have to try. And you have need of indulgence for the sins, which means the mistakes you you or us continually commit. So basically, it's saying here, we make mistakes all the time. But then when you do a small mistake in our point of view, it's fine. If someone do a mistake that's your friend, that's fine. But if someone that you don't like do the same mistake, now it's different. So we unfortunately have this tendency to protect those ones that we loved and then judge other people that we don't like differently, but we should not judge at all. Neither our friends or people that we like the most, neither those that we don't have affinity. Do you not know that there are many acts that are crimes in the eyes of God, but which the world does not even regard as light offenses? For example, when you think that, okay, that people that did that, they deserve to suffer. So this is against God's law. Nobody knows because it's on your head and you and your thought. But God knows. And in that case, you're being criminal. So it's not an earthly crime, but it's against the God's law. And remember, crime is everything that go against the law. But now we are amplifying here the understanding of law because now we're including the law of God. So now the Spirit invites us to understand charity more deeply. So true charity does not consist only in the alms you give or even the consoling words that might accompany them. No, this is not what God demands of us. So God wants us to understand charity exactly like Jesus showed us, the same as described in the beginning of the talk: benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness. So remember, those three virtues are key for charity. Then the spirits continue saying the sublime charity taught by Jesus, also consisting the benevolence, always granted in all things towards your neighbor. Basically, translation: everything that you do that's good to others is charity, and you'll be beneficial to us. So that's why people used to say, you have those saying, so be good, do good. So, and if you do some good things come back to you. And that's basically the what's is saying here. So what you throw in the universe will come back to you. So now we have a choice what we want to do. You can even exercise this sublime virtue, that's charity, on many individuals who do not need alms, but whose words of love, consolation, and encouragement you lead to the Lord. That's quite very interesting. Sometimes we just need to provide the support to those that are in need. And sometimes just showing your love for them, your understanding, and show words of consolation and encourage them. So now let's picture this scenario. So someone commit a crime, kill someone, was in a wasn't the best choice, but then the people regret. So now, if we go there and talk to this person that commit the act, the society generally reject right away without further notice. So then you have this label, and I'm not saying that they don't need to pay for what they did, but they also have the right to be listened and even ask for forgiveness. There are some programs in some countries, they have this forgiveness program where the the killer face the family and they ask for forgiveness. So, and then they're doing their part because maybe they really regret, and then family need to decide if they want to do their part or not in that. It's not easy situation, but forgiveness is the best choice here for all the sides involved. So, and then the spirit's saying that because they pointed out that the times are near when widespread fraternity will reign on this globe, which means forgiveness will be more and more part of our lives. We're gonna grow in understanding why charity is so important, why benevolence is so important, why indulgence is so important. That way, the world will change, and the law of Christ is what you govern humans. So, can you imagine that when the law of Christ that brought the God's law that's based on love, so then benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness, you be natural. The law alone will be the restraint and hope that will lead souls to the blessed realms. So when we reach that level where benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness are natural to us, the humanity is gonna move towards a much blessed realms. Imagine how happy will be a place like that, where we see each other as brothers and sisters, as we see people that made a mistake, that we support them, then they can overcome their challenges. Because everyone, believe it or not, we have our own challenges. So some people has more challenge, some people less challenge, depending on their spiritual evolution. But we talk about laws here and laws there. So what the law is the spirit talking about? And we know that's the law of love. And then the spirit, Elizabeth de France says, love one another as children of the same father. And that's not new. Jesus already told us about this. Do not set up differences between you and those who are unfortunate. So be careful, because if you separate, you're judging. So do not judge. If someone did something really bad and really wrong, avoid to judge the person. So you cannot agree with the circumstances. That's fine. It's wrong. And we need to act. However, we don't judge the person, because, as I mentioned before, we don't know all the circumstances, we don't know all the reasons, we don't know what was involved, and we don't have the right to judge. For God wills for everyone to be equal. So then the worst criminal and us, we have the same value for God, because we are all their daughters and sons. Therefore, despise no one. As you see here, the Jesus teachings invitation is quite complex and is not easy to follow, because we have to leave a lot of our vices. We have to let it go our ego. We have to let it go our selfishness. We have to let it go our vanity. So we have to be more grateful for things, and that's where the challenge lies, because we still have a lot of vices that we don't want to let it go. But then you can ask, and it's a fair question, why does God allow criminals be among us? So why? What's the reason? If God's that just, why? What? I don't get it. And to be honest with you, I didn't get it until I come up with the concept of reincarnation, because then things start making sense to me. So then you may ask yourself, or someone can ask you this question, why? So then you have to think about, is that fair that we have just one life and receive different opportunities? Someone has everything, some people has nothing, and so on and so forth. And then why criminals? So, and that's what the reason God allows great criminals to dwell amongst us, to serve us as a lesson. So believe me or not, we need to learn from them. Soon, when humans have been led to the true laws of God, such lessons will no longer be needed. So if we still living with criminals, if we still seeing what we see on earth, means that we are still learning the true laws of God. So as long as we still egomaniac, as we still selfish, as we still too excessively proud, So all those, they all continue because the roots of crimes are on those vices. And then the question becomes, so if we start to show criminals, because think about if someone did something wrong, you're a criminal, did something very bad, and then you have the concept that is just this life. So then you can look at, okay, so I regret, but I'm doomed anyways. There's nothing I can do because I already did, and I'm condemned for eternity. So I'll go to hell. So, and then what? So you see how complicated it is if we don't have this idea of reincarnation, that we will receive opportunities for redemption, to fix our mistakes, and to start fresh. That's why reincarnation is a blessing, and for forgetting about our past is also a gift, because do we know what we did in the past? So then, if we put ourselves in that scenario, that in the past lives, I wasn't any better than this life, because this is our best reincarnation, we're more evolved than ever. And believe me or not, so it is, because if you have the privilege, not the privilege, but if you come back to some lives, maybe you're going to be surprised what you are able to do it, and you're going to discover that maybe you were the great criminal of that time. So, and that idea put us in a kind of leverage level and to be more forgiven. However, there will be those who are not prepared yet, so they don't want to change, even though uh, you know, give them the understanding, show you the ways. They still rebel. In this case, is, you know, Earth is gonna evolve. So then, we decide to be that spirits that are impure and rebellious, that's the future. All impure and rebellious spirits will be relegated to lower worlds according to their inclinations. So, and that's a great advice. So, if you resist to the evolution, so the progress is going to happen because that's a law. So, if we don't follow the progress, you fall behind. But we lost all our choices? No, we're going to help in other places that's more related to our inclinations, and we're going to have spirits that are according to our tendencies. So you do not have to say of criminals they are wretched, they must be expunged from the earth, the death that is inflicted on them is too kind for the type of individual. We need to avoid, because you see the charge here of the negativity, and it's not good for those that are receiving that, but even for us that emitting that energy, because you'll come back. So then they provide us with the model to be followed. So what we can use then, is there any guide so that can help you, help us to be better? So, and the spirit said, no, you must not speak like that, as the previous life. Don't talk to people like that. Look at your model, Jesus. What do he say if he saw such unfortunate persons next to him? He would grieve for them. He would regard them as truly need, sick persons, and would extend his hand to them. So if we change our mindset and think about criminals, especially the terrible crimes, they're sick people. They need help. It doesn't mean that they don't have to pay what they did. That's not what I'm saying, but they're sick. They really, really need help. But let's say, oh, Rodrigo, I'm not ready yet to follow Jesus' footsteps. So then, if is that the case, you cannot do this in reality, what was proposed before, but you can at least pray for them and assist their spirits in the few moments they must yet spend on earth. So let's say you don't prepare for face those, that's fine. Pray for them. So, and believe it or not, pray is gonna help them. But Kardec was quite wise, and of course, everyone is gonna okay. So I have to do everything related to this criminal, and and Kardec, understanding the human mind, asked, "Should one risk one's life for a criminal?" Look at how much Kardec knew about how our line of thoughts are. Is that what you're proposing, Jesus? Is that what you're proposing, spirits? Let's say what the spirits has to say. And let's start the item 15. And that's the question. So Kardec asked the spirits, a man is in danger of death. Look at the situation. In order to save him, you must risk one's life. So you have to save that person. However, it's known that he's a criminal. So now you have the situation that you have a person that's facing death. You can save that person, but now you know that person is a criminal. And the assumption here is that if he escapes death, he'll be able to commit more crimes. In spite of this fact, should one risk one's life to save him? Look how deep Kardec can understand human minds and make a very important question. So is basically is haha Kardec, haha spirits, how about now? And the spirit said, this is a very serious question. One that a spiritual naturally could face. And like this is true. And I will respond, and we talk about lemonade, I will respond in accordance with our moral advancement. So he's not even saying what Jesus would say. So he's literally saying, I'm going to answer you according to my evolution, my spiritual evolution. But before you answer this question by yourself, if you're in that situation, I would like to share this video with you. So I apologize since there's wasn't audio available, but I hope you remember the story of the adulterer that would be stoned by. They come to ask Jesus, well, she was caught in adultery, and the law said to stone, and Jesus write on the sand and said to them, well, who doesn't have any sin, which means who doesn't have any mistake, so cast the first stone. So, and what is the lemma device related to that question? We saw example, devotion is blind. One lends aid to an enemy, therefore one must also lend aid to an enemy of society, a criminal. So this means consistency. So if Jesus taught us to love our enemies, so they also teach us to love even those ones that are enemy of society, that are the criminals. And he continued and asked, do you think that you only tear this criminal away from death in that scenario? And, and then he invites us to a reflection. So perhaps you'll be from his entire past life. Consider the possibility that in those quick instants that drag the final minutes of life from him, this lost man returns to his past life, or rather, his past life arises before him. Death perhaps is coming too soon for him. Reincarnation could be terrible. So rush to his aid. So basically, here is saying you don't know. You cannot assume just because they are criminal, they are continuing doing it. So you don't know. You have to do your part because their part depends on them, not you. So otherwise, we don't help anyone because you always think what we are assuming. So we should not assume. So then the spirits continue, you whom the spirit science has enlightened, rush to him and snatch him from his condemnation. And then perhaps the person who'd have died cursing you will instead throw himself into your arms. That's quite interesting because as a spirits, we know that the person is not going to die. But now imagine that you have the opportunity to save that person. You didn't. The person saw, had that experience with you. Now you have an enemy. And guess what? When they're in the spiritual side, they're going to have those feelings for you. Hate, revenge. So that's why we should help no matter what. So you should not ask yourselves, however, if he is you going to do so or not. Just go to his aid because in saving him, you obey that voice of the heart that tells you you can save him, so save him. So this basically saying that this law, the seed of love is inside us. Our conscience is going to demand us. When we have a more understanding, even though we know that's a criminal, even though if the person could continue doing crimes, so the question becomes, did you do your part? Because that's what our conscience is going to ask ourselves later on. I have the opportunity. Did I do my part? And then, so to conclude, maybe we should follow Jesus' examples and teachings to help us to make good decisions, particular in those difficult moments. And why we should follow Jesus? Because as Kardec asks to the spirits in the question 625 of the Spirits book, what is the perfect standard that God has offered to humankind as guide and model? Look at the answer. Look at Jesus. So, Jesus taught us. God gave us the opportunity to learn. And now you have a chance. And we have a choice. And my question to you, what are you going to do when you're going to face those difficult moments? So thank you very much for listening to me tonight. I'm appreciated your time and I'm open for questions.
Hi, Rodrigo. I'm back. Thank you so much for your talk. Such an amazing topic and very complex, right? But
True.
full of great teachings, great lessons. I was really thrilled to see, um, especially some of the things that you said. And when you were talking about like the forgiveness, right? I always try to disassociate like the person from the action, right? I feel that this way, like it's hard anyways to forgive just because we are imperfect spirits, right? Still imperfect. So we ended up like offending ourselves like too easily. But I feel that when we can disassociate the action from the person, sometimes we won't agree with the action, right? But then we don't blame the person, because if we think that if we were in the same conditions, maybe we will do the same, right?
That's a that's all good points.
So we have some questions today. Let's start with this one from Marcel. And she's asking, do I need to be indulgent even if I see someone doing a very bad thing?
Yes, you do. But as Larissa said, you don't need to agree with them, and you can correct them, but you have to be indulgent and separate the person for the action. So it's not like I don't like you, but it's I don't like the way that you did.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's not correct. So indulgence is not accepting everything that people do and say, okay, that's fine. You'll be okay. No, it's not okay. It's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing if you have a kid and they have a bad behavior. So they're gonna say, you are very we are not nice kid. So now you are judging the person,
Yeah.
right? So and that's the problem. And the spirits teach us to be very harsh with ourselves and indulgent with others. So because we are imperfect.
Okay, we have another one from Rod Gomez. And he's asking, do criminals suffer eternal punishment in the afterlife, even for the horrific crimes committed in our society? Is there a possibility of forgiveness?
That's an excellent question and put a very good points. No, the punishments are not eternal. How much the punishment is gonna last depends on how much people realize what they did wrong. They
Mhm.
ask for forgiveness, then they're gonna have another chance. That's why we have a reincarnation. Even though the terrible crimes, but what we know that they're gonna suffer.
Mhm.
That's why we need to help them because if they're a criminal and let's say someone kill another person, they're gonna suffer a lot.
Yeah.
So there's no way they're not gonna suffer. We know that, and why we're gonna pray for them? So it's not pray for them to not get punished. It's pray for them to realize the mistake they did, and pray for them to realize and work towards a better person in the future. Is
Mhm.
there a possibility of forgiveness? Yes, because God is merciful. Everyone doesn't matter, and that's how I think it's the best consoling part. No matter what you did, no matter how bad it was, you always gonna have the mercy of God. Always gonna have the spiritual friends that want you to succeed and gonna support you. What we need to do is just let them help us.
Great. We have just one more question. Well, actually, it's more like a comment. It's from our friend Publio, and he's saying, thanks for all clarifications you brought to us. Now, understanding a bit more the God's law, our law of love, made me rethink that we are all criminals when we don't follow this law and force us to stop judging those we don't love and starting practice the real charity brought by Jesus Christ 2000 years ago.
That's the goal. If we can reach that level, I'm sure that Jesus will be extremely happy with us. So the problem until we get that level of forgiveness, because it's easy when you see on the TV and you don't have an emotional relationship, you
Yeah.
feel terrible. So, for example, unfortunately, we see very often in United States, so there's mass shooting. So we feel terrible about it, but then you say, "Well, we have to forgive because." But let's say if your kids in that room,
Mhm.
so your parents are in that room, so are we gonna have that ability? So, and
Mhm.
that's the invitation, right? So forgiveness sets us free
Mhm.
and set the other person that's really feeling guilty, because if they're not feeling guilty, they will face the consequences.
Yeah.
We have to do our part, and that's important. So what the other's gonna do doesn't belong to us. And I agree with everything that Publius said, and I hope one day we reach that level.
Thank you once more for your time and your talk today, Rodrigo. It was really nice to hear and learn a little bit more about this topic.
Thank you very much. You have a wonderful night.
You as well. So now we will move on to the preparation for tonight's spiritual treatment. PASS is the transfusion of spiritual energy with the goal of assisting with our physical, emotional, and mental balance. PASS helps us to restore a state of harmony and peace by replacing negative energy with healthy and positive energy. In order to receive the best benefits from passes, please follow the audio instructions or remain in prayer. You may close your eyes to help with mentalization. And during the pass, the water that you set aside will also absorb the spiritual energy that your family and you can benefit from. We will now make a prayer in preparation for the pass, which will be also our closing prayer. Let's close our eyes once again, calm our hearts, and elevate our thoughts once again to our Master Jesus. Thank you, Lord, for this great talk today. Thank you for inspiring our guest speaker and bringing us this message of love and charity towards criminals. As Rodrigo said tonight, we are all criminals when we don't follow the law of love, the law of God. We ask you to protect us. We ask you to show us the best pathway in order to put all these teachings into practice into our daily lives. We would like to thank you for this opportunity, and we also would like to thank you for the benefits that we will be receiving from the spiritual treatment that will be starting soon. As always, we trust that you will be with us today and always. So be it.
Let us now prepare ourselves for the moment of the passes and the magnetization of water. Let's now calm our hearts, breathing in and out. Pay attention to your body. Focus on your breath and let yourself be carried by this energy. Let your thoughts pass by without judging them. Let them flow. Allow this light to be the beacon that guides you and allow these words to penetrate your energy. Make each word an anchor of gratitude, faith, and trust. With the purpose of healing, which takes away my faith, healing every feeling of separation, of pain, let it all dissolve in this moment, leaving only love, gratitude, and trust. We ask God for the presence of our guardian angel and the friendly spirits who welcome us into this enlightened environment of our Spiritist Center. We open our plexus of love and forgiveness by mentalizing a light surrounding our hearts. Find a quiet and comfortable place to begin the mentalization process. Remove all worries from your thoughts. We ask that during the pass you breathe slowly and deeply. Let your body relax and surrender yourself to a deep meditation. Calmly imagine divine energies in soft and colorful light surrounding you in an environment of peace and spiritual warmth. Entrusting God with your most intimate desires, raise your thoughts to Jesus and the emissaries of the spiritual environment. The pass begins with the cleansing of your soul. Imagine a waterfall of crystal clear water pouring over us, removing all the feelings that keep you away from faith and trust. Feel the energy of this water bathing you and deeply breathe in, feeling peace and harmony. Allow this water to wash away all the impurities and spiritual larvae, washing away all the sorrows and resentments, any feelings of hatred and revenge that hold us back and cause us harm, not only from this life, but past ones as well. Now visualize spiritual doctors around you, applying magnetic cleansing passes, sanitizing your spiritual body of all sadness and negative energy. Mentalize these negative thoughts and feelings being washed away, evaporating from your soul, like water evaporating into thin air, and being carried far away from your mind. Surround yourself with the faith that bathes your being, bringing clarity and lucidity, rebalancing every cell in your body. May the water envelop all pain and bring the clarity of opportunity that chooses peace. The answer arises in our hearts, freeing us from all evil and freeing all whom we have caused evil into and who have caused us evil, washing away all the connections that bind us. Even though we may not understand, we are freeing ourselves from all that causes us harm. Feel this cleansing penetrate your soul and release. Now that we are spiritually cleansed, imagine yourself surrounded by the light of love from the hands of Jesus. At this moment, sing words of faith and gratitude, being faithful to the light that exists in me, planted by the zealous Father. Imagine the sunlight that surrounds and enraptures, freeing us from the chains of everything that holds us down, strengthening your faith. Allow yourself to trust in this light, surrender to it, involved in pleasant feelings and feeling relieved to receive the strengthening lights. Mentalize your spiritual mentors now applying divine light for the strengthening of your mind and your emotions, leaving you feeling emotionally revitalized. Let us now mentalize the magnetization of this water. May we mentalize all the friendly spirits, magnetizing this water and filling it with everything that our bodies, minds, and soul need, so that it may be of help to us, when we drink it after the pass. Thank you, God.
We would like to thank you all for joining us tonight, and we will be back next Tuesday here on Spiritism Canada and Continental Concafres Americas at 8:30 p.m. East, and next Wednesday on Kardec Radio at 8 p.m. East. Have a good night.
Come on, my friend, come to the light. Here with all our heart and soul, let's follow Jesus Christ. Let us preach the peace, let us preach the love. And this world already wonderful will be much more. Get up, look at the sky, in the earth where the flowers bloom with sunshine. Let's hold our hands and be together on this road. Then we take peace and love and spread it to the world.